Heyo, everybody. Hello there, guys, gals, non-binary pals. How we doing? We back, boys. Mayonaka Network Unplugged, #1. It's been a little while. It's been a hot minute, a year or so. Happy to be back with you two here talking about the latest news. So we've got a lot to talk about. First of all, just to sort of let you guys, everybody listening, know what this new format of our podcast is going to be going forward. It's going to be more general, not so much necessarily Persona / Atlus related, more just talking about things that are going on in the world of gaming and just what we want to talk about. So we've actually got several things on the agenda here in this episode 1. So we hope you guys like the new format, and if you have any questions or if you have any topic ideas, leave them in the comments. We'd love to talk about and have a conversation with you guys about what's going on. Guys, how we doing?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been a few days since episode 0 with myself and Hero, so it's good to have you back, Blake, for
Aw, thanks.
Yay! It's a Blake.
Formal episode. Yeah. The boys are back in town.
Yeah, it's true.
We are indeed.
It's true. So, hello everybody. Good to see you in a more official format now that it's the official first episode. We are really excited to get the show on the road and start bringing you guys regular content again.
Yeah. So, I guess we'll kind of take this in a chronological sense of like news, and we've had episode 1 kind of stirring up and in development for a little bit, so some topics may seem slightly dated, but we'll talk about them nonetheless because they're topics to talk about, and it's going to be a good time. So first up is actually Persona 5 Scramble, which is also what our Mayonaka Network Unplugged logo is based on. The game released in Feb, I think it was Feb 20. I believe it was Feb 20. Yeah. And
I actually completely forgot it was out, so I mean, don't ask me.
Yeah, no. So
sorry.
Well, I mean, we can't play it, so.
Yeah, no. I was the one covering the event on our pages because they had a little pre-launch thing going on in Japan. Mm-hmm. So that was fun. The game itself, it does have a demo for both Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4, and I haven't finished the game, nor have I broken into it a considerable amount, but I've played maybe 7 or 8 hours of it, and
that's a decent chunk.
It gives me an idea of what the game is and how it plays, and it's good. It's good.
Yeah. What platform are you playing it on? You're playing it on the Switch?
I'm playing it on the PlayStation 4 because,
you're playing on the
my
PS4. Okay.
very personal opinion, the Switch version is, as it says on the document, jank. It's good. It gives you Persona 5 in a way on the go, and people have been clamoring for that, and it is nice to see that it runs considerably as you'd expect it to run on a Nintendo system, at least portably. I never played it on my TV screen. I usually play handheld.
Right.
It I would say 30 frames ish at something like 720p. I can't give you exact statistics, and it's good. But a lot of things turned me off towards the aspect and concept of having a Persona game on the Switch. Even the assets, like the 2D portraits that you guys are well and truly familiar with, were even lower res. You could see the jagged edges on them, and I'm just wondering, what is the point of that when they're just 2D graphics? You could just stick on it the best resolution possible.
Yeah, I don't even understand the really the point of that. It really should not matter to the game. Like other games on the Switch have illustrated portraits and stuff that don't do that. So I don't understand.
Yeah, so it's a bit strange, but I mean, if it's your cup of tea, it's your cup of tea. We're not going to judge you for it. The PS4 version, though, runs... I'm playing it on my PS4 Pro. It runs at definitely 1080p, 60 frames, and it's a smooth Dynasty Warriors-esque. I'm not saying... It's not like Warriors with Persona slapped on the title. It's its own thing. Like, it definitely has that Muso, as you would say, that Muso feel to it, with like heaps of enemies coming in and your characters having to, take down wave after wave, and all these bonuses like, attack bonuses, HP bonus. You know how those games go.
Right.
Yeah, it's been good. Like, I'm really glad to see them continue the story, as in I believe it's canonical, like a sequel to Persona 5, like what happens the next year. And that's great, honestly. It's good to be back in that, contained world of, Joku and the Phantom Thieves. So I do suggest, like, I've got a feeling that we're going to find, news about a Western localization this year. And I do recommend picking it up. Or at least if they do release a Western demo, to try that. So it's something to look forward to.
Yeah, I know I'm definitely very excited for it when it eventually comes here, because I do really like the gameplay of Muso games, because it's a much more of like a character action feel to it. And it really does feel like, from what I've seen at least, that it's basically Persona 5, but the battle system is Muso. Is that kind of more accurate to how it like actually...
Yeah, you know what? I'd say so, because you still have your Persona summoning system and your weaknesses and strengths, and they, allow for like one more attacks and baton passing and all that good stuff. So they did bring many elements of Persona 5 back into this game. I think a garbage truck is outside, so I'm apologizing that picks up. Yeah.
Leave it in.
Yeah, this is Unplugged. We do what we want.
Yeah.
It's good. I've done like most of the first dungeon, and there's a lot of talking, as you'd expect a Persona game to have, like lots of dialogue and all that, and a few new changes to the mechanics. But yeah, I'd say like it's something to look forward to, and we can talk about it more when we have news on its Western release.
Yeah, I would say that for me the most interesting prospect, because I'm, as you both know, I'm a story-driven player when it comes to games. Like I those are the kinds of games that I play, and so to hear that there is a game in which it is a continuation of a story within the Persona universe, which is something like we've never had a direct sequel to a Persona game before, so this is like the closest thing that we're getting. We've had, the upgraded versions of 3, 4, and now 5, obviously, with Royal coming out in a couple of weeks. But so something that's either a spiritual successor or in some form of a direct sequel to a Persona game intrigues me. It makes me excited, and like a lot of people, just the idea of it being on something that's other than the PlayStation 4, to be on a different platform, is also exciting. Although I share the not I wouldn't say disappointment, but just sort of the confusion at the way that the presentation appears on the Switch as opposed to the PlayStation 4. But I mean, it's great nonetheless, and I'm wondering if this is being viewed as, sort of like a trial run by Atlus to see if these may be areas of them to look for ways to branch out the Persona series in the future.
Right.
So maybe that might be why there's not so much of a heavy investment in it yet, to just sort of test the waters and see where the fans go with it.
I believe we also saw Catherine Fullbody get rated for the Nintendo Switch in Korea, so I think, it is like I feel like it's trial grounds for Atlus to see how these kinds of games would go on the Switch.
Right. I mean, they also did the...
Yeah.
Also, because I'm sure somebody will be screaming in the comments, Persona 1 and 2 do exist, and that there is Persona 2. So EP and IS do exist as a sequel, but
I kind of want to add on to that and also bring up the Persona 4 Arena games, which I considered to be sequels as well in their own little way. But I think in saying that, Persona 2 aside, Persona 5S, like Strikers or Scramble, I think the English logo is said to say Strikers instead of Scramble. In saying that this is the closest to a modern Persona sequel in that sense.
Like, well, that's what I mean. Like, in terms of, it's not that. I meant more like, because I'm sure when anybody says this is the only something, they're gonna be like, oh, everybody always forgets Persona 1 and 2, and it's like there's, Innocent Sin and Eternal Punishment, that's a continuing story, but in terms of an actual like modern day actual sequel, like this is basically the equivalent. This feels like it's the equivalent of like going from like older Zelda to newer Zelda in terms of like how the battle system changes, but it's like, I mean, granted that timeline's fucked, so we can't really go with that in terms of a quote unquote direct sequel. But you know what I mean. Like, I mean, I guess you could say like Zelda 1 to Zelda 2, even though everybody hates Zelda 2 because it's such a different battle system.
Look, I'll add to that. I think it's more like Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask, and in the sense that it does feel a lot like the original, but there is a lot of new things in it as well. So,
it's like Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask if Majora's Mask had
was an FPS.
Crazy.
Wow. Okay.
I was gonna say if it had an extreme battle system change. But I actually like completely forgot they were implementing like the Persona fusions and stuff in Scramble until I saw the Velvet Room. It's because I saw Atlus post a thing the other day about fusing Persona and Scramble, and I was like, oh yeah, you can do this. So I imagine that must make the Musou system very, very interesting, that you have like all the different Personas.
We still have the register, the compendium. We still have all those features from Persona that made their way.
I mean, honestly, that sounds like, in my personal opinion, from what I've seen and what I heard, honestly, that sounds like it's going to be very much up there on one of my favorite games, because I absolutely love anything character action driven, and I love Persona. So I mean, that just sounds like it's fusing them together, which is great. So I'm excited for that. I think we can probably move on to another topic here. Mystery Dungeon just came out.
Yes, it did. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX for the Switch. And this is a bit of a interesting one because it's a remake of the 15-year-old dual games of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red and Blue Rescue Teams for the Game Boy Advance and DS, and that makes us feel really old.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it. Not how old it is. I love the games, but I don't want to talk about how old they are, because it makes me forget that I was in like fucking elementary school when I was playing them.
I think that was back in 2005. I hold this particular entry in the series, at least the original, is very close to my heart because it was the 10th anniversary of Pokemon back then. At least, I believe so. Yeah, and what happened was they were doing giveaways and all that stuff. They had miniature conventions / pop-up thingies where there was Pokemon tournaments and all this stuff, TCG. When Pokemon was big and Nintendo here at least were more in it about like public promotional stuff like that. So there was quizzes and prizes and people answered questions to get stuff. I happened to win a copy of Red Rescue Team for the Game Boy Advance at least 2 weeks or 3 weeks before its original release in Australia. So, you know, that was one of my first ever, I guess, wins when it came to something like that. And it's a good game. There's a lot of work, you know, that you have to put into it because it's very grindy and things can be very punishing. And at that age, especially, you've got to have some strong willpower to like, you know, get knocked out and then lose all your items and money and then, you know, rinse and repeat. Baby's first roguelike in a sense. Yeah, it's really good to see it come back as a full 3D title for the Nintendo Switch for modern audiences. And what am I trying to say? It's like it's good. Like I've finished the story. I've put in about almost 18, 19 hours into it by now, and that's when it came out last week on. And it's been great. Like, I haven't been keeping up to date with the Mystery Dungeon series. Like, I kind of dropped off after Explorers of Sky, and then I played a tiny bit of Super Mystery Dungeon. I didn't touch Gates to Infinity, which apparently is notorious for being the worst entry in the franchise. Yeah, and it was good to, you know, have a return to form with like new bits and pieces. And I think one of my favorite features of this one is the ability to have like 8 Pokemon on your team at once and going to a boss. Like I vividly remember fighting Zapdos, for example, which is one of the first. It's the first legendary boss and one of the major, you know, bosses of the game.
Right.
And having 8 Pokemon just surround this bigger Thunderbird and just laying waste to him, and he didn't even get a chance to attack because I had a Manectric on my team, which I recruited earlier, and that had Lightning Rod. So anytime it tried to use electric attacks, Manectric would just absorb it and up its attack and special attack. And so, you know, it didn't have a chance. And it was just, I had that childlike moment of remembering these times of just like being in the car or being at home and playing this on a smaller pixelated Game Boy screen versus now in full HD.
Yeah.
And it was good. Like, you know, there's a lot of quality of life improvements and all that stuff. And the demo is available on the eShop, so it's worth giving that a try. And your save data goes over to the full game.
Oh,
so good. Yeah, it's definitely a blast from the past in the best of, you know, terms.
Right.
Yeah. So like those games, and I agree that part of it's definitely, and for a lot of people, it's definitely going to be things like that, like the nostalgia factor of playing that game again. And the good thing about the Mystery Dungeon franchise in Pokemon is, like, while it is, I would say an argument could be made for it being a niche part of Pokemon fans that enjoy it. You're not going to find a bad review for it in terms of like out of the people that play it. So that's what's so exciting about it, I think, for a lot of people, is like, if you're going to take the time to play this game, you're going to enjoy it. And that's what it's very much a game that's made for fans, and that's remade for fans, and that's exciting to see from just the standpoint of a consumer, because this is something that's being done, you know, and because like you know when you go back and you use the phrase quality of life, Josh, and that's a really good way to put it, because like if you ever go back and play, you know, a game from just a few years ago that you love, and you know you look at it on a bigger TV screen in a world of newer graphics, you go, holy crap, I don't remember this game looking this bad. And so like, but in this, you know, you get the graphical upgrade, and so it's sort of like, you know, when you were a little kid, and it's like when you meet somebody, you think, I remember this person and I thought they were like 12 feet tall, and then you see them again 10 years later and you're like the same height as them, and you're like, I don't remember this at all. So it's just sort of like that childlike wonder, and that disappears and like dissipates. This sort of, in an interesting way, this allows for that to continue. So it lets you to continue to like idolize that childhood nostalgia that you have when you see it through the context of an updated version of the game, which is why I think it speaks to so many people, and why it's so well received by the fan base.
Right, and like I personally didn't really play the series when I was younger. I do remember, I actually don't even remember which one it was. I played a little bit of one on the DS, and I remember enjoying it, but I don't remember why I never kept playing it. Um, but like as somebody who doesn't have the nostalgia for this game, going in and like looking at this and still being like, whoa, this was cool. Especially knowing what the old ones looked like and how the graphical upgrade on this is like, it's pretty beautiful with that like storybook illustration look to it.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, from like the outside standpoint of somebody who hasn't really touched these before, but I did play the demo a little bit, and I was like, really feeling it. It's got that really nice, like simple dungeon crawler feel to it. And the writing is nice, from what I've seen so far. It's just like this nice, like wholesome, at least like I said from the demo, it's like it's a nice little wholesome story and everything like that. And the Pokemon personalities are great and everything like that. Everybody, they kind of give the Pokemon their own personalities and add like a little bit of the humor in it and everything. So, I mean, I'm definitely planning on picking it up relatively soon. But yeah, I mean, it does. It looks great, and I definitely recommend anybody who isn't familiar with the series or who is and is just curious about the game. I definitely say just to go get the demo, because I mean the demo pretty much sold me on it. I just haven't gotten around to getting it yet.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping this does pave the way for a remake of the second series of games, which was the Explorers series, which was Time, Darkness, and Sky on the DS. And so that introduced the fourth generation of Pokemon with a whole new story, and that one's. I feel like that one is actually personally more well received than the original games, even though the original games were really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, one of the major points of Mystery Dungeon is the fans love the story of the game, and yeah, I'm not going to spoil anything for those who haven't played it.
Spoiler alert: there's Pokemon.
Yeah, there's Pokemon.
Oh my god.
There are some pretty heart-wrenching moments, as few and far in between they are, but they're there. And I remember as a kid bawling my eyes out at a certain point, and if you guys have played the games, you can probably pick them out yourself. But it's definitely something to have on your radar. So yeah.
Would you say because you beat the story again, would you say when you got to that same part in the story that would you say it hit you really, really hard again, or were you just kind of like the nostalgic kind of feeling for it?
I still had those very similar emotions. Like,
okay.
I wouldn't say it was stronger or as strong, but I did feel the same way I felt back then. I was like, oh well, yeah, I can feel the waterworks coming, but it's not necessarily me just like putting down the console and bawling my eyes out, like.
Oh yeah.
Because yeah, it's I definitely had that connection to back then, and how it's represented, that these scenes are represented now in full 3D versus the charming little sprite works we had back then.
Right.
But yeah, no, I love the story. Like a lot of the scenes that you imagined as a kid, like facing off against these legendary Pokemon and all that, as you're for the whole part of the story. I'm just gonna say you play as one of the starter Pokemon, or Cubone, Machop, Pikachu, Eevee. Like you play one of these small little Pokemon, and you're going up against these legendaries, and the sense of scale in this one is much more realized than what it was back then.
Yeah, I could see that.
There was no sense of depth in 2D games, so to speak, even if it was top down. But now you can tell it's just huge, and they've added all these bits and pieces that I don't quite remember being in the original. And so someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but like an example is, say, I'm gonna pick out Groudon. It actually causes like magma to erupt every now and then during the battle, and different parts of the map, the arena you're on, gets like covered in magma. So if you're not a fire type or something, you're going to get burnt if you're on those squares. So there's a bit of strategy involved in that. And it just adds to the, I guess it adds to the experience of these battles and stuff. Like, I'm not going to go on about other ones, so I'll leave people to experience it for themselves. But
Right.
it definitely adds, makes these battles more immersive and helps. It helps the story come to life a lot better than what it once did, how it once did. So
That's good.
yeah, people who enjoyed the story will probably enjoy it as much or even more than what they did when they were kids. So yeah,
That's awesome.
I think the next thing on our little list is us going for Smash Bros. Ultimate, which has now entered its second Fighters Pass without us knowing who is any of the new 6 characters that are to come to the game. So,
Right.
You know what that means, boys. It's speculation time.
yeah.
Yeah. And also, Sakurai did in an interview say that that as of right now, there's no DLC planned for after this Fighters Pass. I guess it is possible that could change, because I don't think they necessarily said anything about knowing if they were going to continue after the first one. But they're, as of right now, pretty much considering it that once the 6th character in the new Fighters Pass is out, that will basically be the end of Ultimate, which, I mean, good for them, because they're saying that this is going to be DLC basically going into 2022. So
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a long cycle.
that's poor Sakurai, man. Like, I mean, he loves working on it so much, so it's not really a thing of like, oh, you know, like, he jokes about never getting the break and everything like that, but he's said in interviews that how much he loves making everybody happy with it, and, you know, everything like that. So it's really not a thing of like, oh, he's getting the company's overworking him. It's really his decision to be doing that. But I mean, yeah.
Yeah, no, like, I know he's always even like apologetic to the fans when they know it's something that's going to cause a bit of controversy. And yeah, like, for example, being the final fighter for Fighters Pass 5, but he did say that it's basically Nintendo's choice as to which characters to add to the Fighters Pass. So, and I mean, you know, Fighters Pass 1, there were some very, very solid entries.
Yeah, and sorry, I just was gonna say one thing I do remember about that, which not that I was surprised that people were upset about Byleth inclusion, but especially after they revealed the second season, the second pass, basically. So many people were like, oh, you know, after they get this pass out of the way and they do more DLC, that's where they're add Byleth, because of course Nintendo's going to make him add Byleth. So it was really surprising to me how angry people got about Byleth being added when so many people already knew they were coming eventually.
Yeah.
And at least this way, it's like, okay, well, Fire Emblem is out of the way.
Yeah, I'm glad they got it out of the way now.
Because imagine people's reactions, like if it was at the end of when, okay, we're definitely not doing any more DLC, and then they added it, and people would be like, oh, how could you waste the end of it on this? Like, he specifically made it like, don't worry, guys, there's 6 more characters after Fire Emblem.
Yeah, absolutely. That should definitely be the way it is. Yeah, the letdown and the outrage if you think it was bad now, when you've got the massive speculation, when you've got the amounts of people, you know, with the hashtag whatever character for Smash, you know, comes just all over from every corner of the internet, and you get that crap. And then, oh, look, another Fire Emblem character is the last one in. That's going to make people real happy.
Yeah.
I do like how they were self-aware about that, though, especially about the sword fighters bit in Byleth's trailer.
Yeah. My too many swordsmen. I like how they said too many swordsmen, and then it was like, how about a woman? And then that's what she was like. Cassandra doing a great job as Sothis.
Of course.
But,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we could just kind of move on to our expectations on what we're going to see. and how we all are going to say Dante for Smash. No, I'm just kidding. I was actually kind of surprised, not surprised, but I thought it was kind of funny that they added almost like a weapon switching element to Byleth, because everybody was like, Dante is coming up, and then it was Byleth with multiple weapons, which is what Dante would have been.
Yeah.
So
And I'm pretty sure they did announce like the weapon switching or the style switching for Dante that same day, because apparently there was a DMC announcement related to the Switch that was happening that same day. So everyone was like, "Yep, that's Dante."
That's what everybody assumed. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, it's. I mean, right now it's anyone's guess as to who these 6 could be, considering we had some pretty out of left field entrance for the first Fighters Pass, like Joker, who is very topical amongst us, being the Mayonaka Network.
Yeah, I mean, you're never going to see any of us that would have expected that at any point. Like I remember when that news broke and just the way all of us reacted.
I legit thought it was just P5R getting its reveal early at the Game Awards.
Well, and then the way that, and then I wouldn't say necessarily because there was some, and it's sort of, this is the way that it is, unfortunately, with a lot of, anytime a DLC character is announced, is because a lot of people know there's a finite amount, and like, if characters are very personal to a lot of players, and so if you're someone who's been a fan of the franchise for a long time, and you know, you see what is absolutely a character out of left field, who for some people is going to be a character from a franchise that you've never even heard of, that's an exclusive on a different game system, just getting thrown in. You know, it's not, that's why A, we were shocked, and B, why some people were not shocked. They were also upset. And so like, I think it's, in this industry, gaming in general, from a marketing standpoint, I think a lot of people operate on that. There's any press is good press, and so game creators have never, and production companies have never been afraid to be divisive.
Right.
And so to an extent, I think it's exciting going forward. A, the uncertainty, and B, the divisive nature of whatever these last 6 characters are going to be. I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's something to look forward to and to be more hopeful than to be like cynical about.
Right.
But that's just where I'm at with it.
So who do you guys want to see as some of the upcoming fighters?
Dante.
I would made that pretty cool.
I would. I mean, well, that was just because everybody was expecting it. I mean, I would be happy with Dante. Honestly, I'll pretty much be happy with, I guess, pretty much anybody. I would definitely like to see more female characters added, just because there's a lot of like I know Shantae gets a lot of love from the Smash community, and Shantae would be a very unique fighter. And we don't technically have an indie rep, even though now we quote unquote have Sans and Cuphead. But
we have Shovel Knight as this trophy.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, that's what I like in terms of a playable rep with an indie. I would like to see, I guess, either like Quote and Curly from Cave Story, because that's like an indie game that's like so far back, that's just been on like so many different things that a lot of people know and love, and right away it's like, you know, you have the option to do Quote and Curly because they both use like the same weapons basically. They just have like a couple different abilities, or Shantae, like, you know, as an indie rep. I would very much like an indie rep, and it feels like Nintendo would be like with some of the teases of like the quote unquote pseudo editions of Sans and Cuphead, that they're almost like they're building to more indie. So I wouldn't at least be surprised, or I would be happy to at least see with each character reveal, or like with every other character reveal, even if it's not every single one, like another indie character get added. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we got like Hollow Knight as a Mii Swords fighter or something like that. You know what I mean? Like these really huge breakout indie games that everybody loves. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just really would be happy. I'm pretty much happy with anybody. I wasn't overly broken up about Byleth because I, again, was expecting them at some point, especially when they said they were adding more DLC. We didn't know how much. We didn't realize there was going to be 6 more, but they were like, hey, by the way, more DLC before they even revealed Byleth. And so, like I said, everybody was like, okay, so that's where Byleth's going to be. Part of it's weird because a lot of the characters that I want are like all Capcom.
Yeah.
And I know it's not going to happen.
You're probably going to get one Capcom. I feel like one Capcom out of these 6 is kind of likely. It could be very likely that one of them is going to be a Capcom.
But that's the problem is which one of these like 10 Capcom characters that I would love to have in Smash Brothers is going to be it. I mean, I guess we can assume no more Mega Man since they crammed as much Mega Man as possible into Mega Man, which is fine. And
I feel like they would have saved Mega Man's like returning Mii costumes as DLC for that Mega Man reveal.
Yeah, exactly. So not that I think there's going to be another Mega Man edition, unless it's ZX Advent or something, but I don't think so.
That'd be interesting.
I would like to see that at least as a Gunner costume, because they do have music from Zero and ZX Advent in the game, but they don't have any representation from those. And they did just release the new collection with a whole bunch of new stuff, which
They've got the Spirit as well, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so that's what I mean. So like I don't really expect anything Mega Man related, but like either Devil May Cry or more Monster Hunter because we have Rathalos and quote unquote a stage that we can't play on. But or like Phoenix Wright or Amaterasu or
Beautiful Joe is another
Beautiful
one.
Joe. Wonderful 101's getting that port.
Yeah.
That's not Capcom, but you know what I mean. That's what I mean. It's like going into like more platinum stuff.
Yeah,
the hero trilogy.
Yeah, because we've got Project GG coming up.
Oh yeah, that's something else. We could probably talk about that later when we know more about it. But but yeah, like anything Capcom, anything Platinum. I actually, honestly, was because Astral Chain did really well. I was kind of expecting Astral Chain, and then they dropped the Astral Chain spirits, and my heart sank a little.
Yeah,
because the Howard twins would be so good, being able to use the lead. Like,
I feel like that was
out.
the same kind of thing for the Resident Evil spirits that got dropped.
Well, Resident Evil was another Capcom one that I was like, all right, let's get Leon or Jill in here, or yes, Rebecca or Claire.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I pretty much appreciate most Resident Evil characters. Yeah. But yeah, man, for me, it's mostly like Capcom and some Platinum or something. Like just, I have somebody that was like, oh, they could do a Jean Echo with a couple of different things, and then they didn't, and I was like, oh, okay. But what about y'all's? What do you want?
Blake?
So I preface this by saying that I'm not very good at fighting games. I don't play them very often. So
well, Smash isn't a fighter. Ha ha ha. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah. But like, so for me, what I want to see from it is basically what I said when I was just talking about it from just the standpoint of where I hope they take it from a direction of in terms of marketing. I want to see them do stuff that's sort of a continuation of, to an extent, what they've already done. I want to see it be outside the box. I want to see it look like one of the main purposes is expanding the fan base. Because I think that at their core, games that are like this, that's what they're best at, is bringing together a whole bunch of different different fandoms and different genres, and pulling them all together. And I would love to see that expanded out even further than it already has been. So I'd like to see a couple of picks that aren't safe, like another Fire Emblem character, even though, again, we obviously all knew it was coming.
Well,
So, now that they've already got
the downvotes.
Yeah. Sorry.
No,
even
just
though, even though, we got the obligatory stuff out of the way, but, expand it, make it wider, make it even more open than it already is. Think outside the box, do something crazy like a Resi character, like you said. And so, that's what I want to see. More than anything. It's just I don't have any personal picks. I just want to see them not necessarily do stuff that's expected with it.
Right.
Well, I guess that leaves me. Yeah, look, I was, like you guys, I was not expecting the inclusion of Joker, and it's one of those characters we kind of discarded from before his reveal. It's like you're wanting a specific character, and before then you wouldn't have thought Joker. I assure you, there were those few that said it as a pipe dream, which, lucky them and lucky us in the end. But I got Banjo as, the third representative, and he has been a long time pick for me. And I completely lost my mind as soon as I saw that Jiggy just roll across DK's house. And yeah, look, I'm really happy with, I'm thankful for this Fighters Pass, and whoever comes next, I'll be okay with, because I know that there's probably going to be some great picks in there. But then I wouldn't be surprised if one or two of them are a bit of an eyebrow raiser, but that's, them being daring. A lot of the talk online I've been observing, it does say, people wanting Sora for Smash, but I've heard stuff about Disney being the wall that, separates them and Nintendo, because apparently Square is cool with it, but Disney's no.
I think that might be more speculation, though, because I do believe a lot of the stuff with the people that were blaming Disney ended up being that the person, even though they were quote unquote an insider, I think they were just kind of shooting the shit on that one. So it might not necessarily be Disney, but yeah, I would not be surprised if Disney was the reason why it wasn't, because Square Enix alone seems like they're not thrilled about working with Disney half the time. So
yeah.
I feel another, commonly thrown around speculation is Doomslayer from Doom. And I just think it would be perfect to have the trailer feature the Doomslayer and Isabel, because that's the thing now.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would be really cool to see, even though Doomslayer, however you want to, slice it, was never one of my major picks, just because I've only played the Doom 64 and the 2016 release of Doom.
Yes.
Yeah, but I just only recently started the 2016 Doom, and I can see its appeal, and the memes and artwork and stuff I feel they've made Doom Guy more welcoming in the general public eyes, because it grabs the Animal Crossing fans as well, and it's a fun thing, and we're gonna go on to Animal Crossing in a bit. So yeah, a personal pick from now is actually one of my major picks. Is unfortunately might not make it out of the assist trophy hell, and that would be Skull Kid from The Legend of Zelda. And he's been one I've wanted since Brawl, I'm pretty sure, and Smash 4 kind of sealed him as an assist, and then now Smash Ultimate has done it again, because I do feel Zelda needs more representation, and we've had the same characters for the longest time. And I would say, the last new Smash character for Zelda, the last new Zelda character for Smash was in Brawl, and that was just basically Toon Link, who was just young Link, but not exactly. And now they're all in Ultimate. So
well, now we need to get Twilight Princess Link back in, and then we're all good, and we have all of them.
Twilight Princess Zelda. Yeah.
No,
There's
it's
an Ocarina of Time Zelda that can transform back into Sheik. Yeah, look, we can go on. we can
yeah,
get
bring back Melee Zelda. Let's go.
yeah. Just for Melee Sheik, because
Yeah.
Melee Sheik is definitely yeah.
And before the entire pass is nothing but other versions of Link and Zelda, and that's all it is.
Hey, I wouldn't mind.
I was
seeing,
just gonna say, actually, you know what? I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it. Like, Wind Waker Ganondorf with his twin swords or something. Like, yeah,
Holy crap.
That'd be dope.
Yeah. I would be down for more Zelda representation in any form, especially that we have Breath of the Wild 2 or the sequel to Breath of the Wild coming.
Oh, that's true.
God knows when. So, if they're planning on making Zelda playable, I feel like they can give Zelda another Zelda. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Well, no,
And-
I know what you mean, because Sakurai was saying something about making sure he didn't use Breath of the Wild Zelda because she wasn't a fighter, but like he could see the other Zeldas, like using the magic and stuff like that more. So that
this Zelda with like, I don't know what powers they're planning on giving her, but I feel like she will take, like, if you've played Breath of the Wild, which who hasn't at this point, and if you haven't, you should. Yeah, like, she does have powers, like her goddess ceiling powers, and they could utilize like the power of the champions and the Sheikah Slate for this Zelda, and you've already got her a really good moveset. So I do hope she gets a chance, and I feel definitely have her in the the latter 3 of the 6, because I feel like Breath of the Wild 2, the sequel, whatever you want to call it, might be closer to completion / release on that end rather than the front end.
It's true.
I'm gonna wrap up my Smash speculation with Travis Touchdown. Yeah,
I can see that.
I feel like Travis being one of the early 3 with No More Heroes 3 coming out, I believe this year. I'd like to hope it's this year. I think it's this year. I'm gonna have to double check.
Well, I'm pretty sure after Animal Crossing we don't have any solid dates, I think.
Yeah, but I think the only other Nintendo game we know that's coming out is Xenoblade Definitive Edition, and then we've got like Metroid Prime 4 and Bayonetta 3 just hanging in the balance without
And Shin Megami Tensei fucking wherever.
Yeah. Wherever that is.
That's the working title. We don't know for sure what it is yet. Don't worry, folks. We'll fill this in later.
Shin Megami Tensei fucking
It would
whatever.
be cool to see Jack Frost be another Atlus representative for Shin Megami Tensei 5.
I mean,
like,
that would be interesting.
I'll put that in my want, because when I saw Joker, I was honestly being like, all right, let's go DLC. Persona 5 got getting the series bigger out there. Like 5 kind of broke it out of the niche a little bit. But Joker's not on Switch, so it's gonna be Jack Frost because he's the mascot. And then it was Joker, and I was like, okay, so Joker's gonna have a Persona switching ability, and one of them's gonna be Jack Frost, and then he didn't. I went, okay, so
I still go back to us interviewing Xander and us just joking about Joker being in Smash Bros. And
yeah, we even talked about this later, wondering if he knew anything at the time.
Yeah.
And if he did, he was pretty good at hiding it.
Yeah. But no, I feel like that wraps up my speculation about the Fighters Pass 2. We also had a bit of news in him passing out at the gym as well. So I believe, from what I heard, was due to a diet he was going on as well.
Yeah, it was something like he was switching to a low carb diet, and then he said something about overdoing it at the gym. So I know a lot of people, anytime they hear anything about his health issues, like,
it's always work related.
And they also, everybody has like a mini heart attack that he actually like did something really bad to himself. And I mean, I think this time he tried to make it clear that it wasn't work related. It was that he went on a new low carb diet, and just that he might have kind of like just overdid it at the gym, kind of thing like that. So everybody can breathe the collective sigh of relief that he's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next up on our little agenda is one we're all very excited for: Animal Crossing: New Horizons for the Switch. And we are, for me, it's 9 days, but for you guys, I think it's almost 9 days for you guys. But 10 days away. Yeah. So
Right.
this has been a long time coming. So I was actually fortunate enough to try out the demo for New Horizons, which was the same one available at PAX East, but it was available here at Supernova, which is a convention in Melbourne and around Australia, and also MadFest in Sydney. So that was on last weekend, and I was fortunate enough to play the demo twice because
Wow, nice.
yeah, the lines aren't as killer as the American ones. Like, I know I've heard stories about lines going crazy there. So yeah. I'll start with my thoughts, because straight out the bat, it is beautiful. It is literally the best Animal Crossing game I've seen ever, and the demo doesn't really give you. It does give you an idea of how it's going to look and how it's going to play, but at the same time, Animal Crossing is supposed to be a personal experience. Like everyone's own Animal Crossing games, they're very separate from one another. Like, say for the start, everyone has that slow, grindy-ish build up to the beginning until they get their things sorted, like the villages they want, the items, whatever. But the game looks great. I played it on a TV screen, and I'm sure it's going to look even greater, or even I would say it would even look really good on handheld for sure, and it runs smoothly. The demo is very guided, and I'm sure a lot of you guys who are researching or keeping up to date with Animal Crossing news know that this demo was more so guided by a representative from Nintendo. However, I actually knew more about the game than the representatives I had. So, while Saturday's one was definitely getting a bit upset at me for knowing a lot more than them, Sunday's one actually let me take over the demo in a way. Like, they made me leader due to the party play system, and I could guide the team of 4 around and showing them bits and pieces of things that they didn't know of, such as like photo opportunity spots where, like, if you stand at a certain area, the camera like pans out and changes the angle to show like stuff in the museum and this and that. It's gonna be really great, and I know a lot of people, including us three, are getting the game, and we'll probably even like I've got the the capture card that we can probably stream some Animal Crossing together, or even do our next show or the next show or the show after that within Animal Crossing, because that's the thing we can do.
That's
so
true.
Yeah, it's getting really close to release, and I'm wondering how you guys are feeling about it since we've had the direct and all. So yeah, whoever wants to take the mic.
Blake can go first.
So like, I'm really excited about it. Just because then, I mean, we were even talking earlier about looking at because like everybody, I love the customization that you get in these games, and the fact that there seems to be more in this one than ever before, to the point where like I've seen screenshots of people online that have like made clocks out of leaves, and so like there's a lot of in-depth stuff in this one. So from the number of both obviously classic returning villagers to newer people, that's exciting. From what I've heard of little bits of the soundtrack that I've heard online, the soundtrack is amazing. And so, I think that the connectivity of it, like that we've obviously been speaking about just in the last little bit, is opening up to a lot as well, which is great. And that's another one of the wonderful things about it. So I'm really stoked for it. We were talking before we started recording about how like this next couple of weeks is gonna like screw us over, or me particular, in terms of like how much I'm going to be spending on games that I'm going to be buying, because it's like this is right prime time where all of the things that I want are coming out. Like P5R is coming out at the end of the month, Animal Crossing is coming out right before that, so like there's a lot going on in late March. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited, like, in general, just because it is coming to the Switch, and that's sort of like the whole thing with any game that comes to the Switch is, oh my god, now it's on the Switch, because it's the capability of having, you know, updated graphics, and it is gorgeous. I've seen some of the gameplay.
Let me tell you,
bits of it.
the screenshots and videos you see do not do it justice.
Yeah.
Yeah, being there and seeing it, and I believe we're looking at 1080p on the TV. It's beautiful. Like the small details that they put in, like you're just gonna spend time just looking for all these little things, and if you've played the previous ones, it's a huge step up. Like it's it's gonna be something.
Yeah, and it's great because you don't even have to like make the joke of Tom Nook take all my bills, because don't worry, he's gonna do it anyway. So
yeah, the first I believe the first upgrade from your tent to the house is actually done through the Nook Miles system, which, for those who don't know, is like the in-game achievement system that they've added in, where you do things and you get like points, Nook Miles they're called. So it's like the flybys, or like, you know, the frequent flyers kind of deal, where you do things, you get points, and yeah, I found that very rewarding, so to speak. You can get little bonus stuff from that. And then afterwards he's gonna lay down the, you know, the loans with the crowbar in hand, ready to bust your 3D defined kneecaps now, because they've added detailed kneecaps. Yeah.
ready to stimulate that island economy, whether you want to or not.
It's definitely something to look forward to. Yeah. What about you, Michael?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I never really got like super into Animal Crossing until I played New Leaf, and then I like absolutely fell in love with it. So I'm sure for like a lot of people like that have been playing it forever, like some of the, or like even people who like skipped the DS ones, like just the amount of things of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how beautiful this looks, going from like the GameCube one or something, you know what I mean? Like if they haven't touched it in a really long time, and they decided to get back to it again now that it's back on consoles, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's just it looks gorgeous from what I've seen. I would have played the PAX demo, but unfortunately I wasn't able to go this year. But I did, you know, a bunch of my friends went and they were saying how amazing it was, and they had like the little setups with the photo ops, and they had like people in the mascot costumes for Isabelle and Tom Nook and KK, so you could do like all the little photo ops, and they had like the little house and blah blah blah, like, you know, obviously in real life, and then obviously you could do like the in-game photo ops and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll just say toe beans are a thing. Like that's some good tech right there. Giving all the animals the toe beans. And I also saw they have, with the actual footprints they leave, the footprints change depending on the type of animal. So if it is an animal that has hooves, you will see hoof prints. And they have the paw prints, and they have like different paw prints, and they have sleeves now, which is like crazy tech for the animals. They have sleeves and accessories that they can wear, so they can wear scarves and hats and glasses. I saw a thing of Kiki with her sweater actually being a sweater and not a weird sweater vest that just randomly cuts off. And she's also wearing reading glasses while she's reading. I was like, that's game of the year right there. But yeah, and just the scale of some of the stuff in there too, like with the museum and all the different stuff.
The ability to change your island.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like and that's a cool thing too, that they made a note that it's like, that's going to be a late game thing. So it's like, you know, you don't burn yourself out with everything like that, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm done with this game now because I have everything perfect. And it's like, no, it's once you have everything perfect, then you can start digging through your town and change the complete layout, because they're like, okay, you're going to need something to do once you blow through pretty much everything we have. But yeah, I know they're going to be adding as much stuff as possible, like crazy. They said in the direct that, obviously there's going to be the seasonal events that they always do, but they're going to be trying to add in, as time goes on, they're going to try and keep adding more and more villagers. They're going to, they have all the different amiibo support, which means we'll probably start getting, obviously we'll start getting re-releases of the old amiibo we had already, but we'll probably be getting new amiibo, and they'll probably start putting out the Animal Crossing amiibo cards that were used for Happy Home Designer, because we know those all work. And so there's just going to be so much you could do in this version, and like I'm sure in reality, with all the stuff they've talked about, there's still like a crap load in that game that they haven't talked about yet.
Sure, yeah.
Because that's like Nintendo's MO lately, is like, we want you guys to be more surprised. Like, they didn't talk about freaking any of the Pokemon that were in Sword and Shield until like a week before it came out, and everybody was like, because a lot of people got nervous because they were like, are there actually new Pokemon in this? We know like maybe 20, I think it was, we knew like 20 of the Pokemon that were going to be in it like less than a month before the game launched. Yeah. Everybody was like, yeah. So I like, personally, I don't think they handled that super well, but whatever. We know now that we're getting way more of them in DLC and everything, so
we can talk about the DLC another time, though. That's another
thing. Yeah, that's going to be a huge thing to talk about later when we know more about everything we're getting in Pokemon, which I also still haven't played yet, but once that DLC drops, you could bet your sweet Bippy I will be grabbing that. I'm going to be grabbing Sword as soon as, preferably before the DLC comes out.
So that's June.
Yeah, so I'm going to try and... But there's just so many games, man. Like, there's like 5 coming out in the next 3 weeks alone that I want so badly.
Yeah, I know.
Which we're going to be talking about more of them. No, that's everybody. Like, anybody I know that basically plays games on a regular basis is like, this next month and a half is going to destroy me.
Yep. Because
even if you're not into everything that's coming out, like, I'm pretty much into everything that's coming out in the next month and a half.
Yep.
Even if you weren't, there's like at least 2 or 3 things everybody's interested in, whether it's Animal Crossing. Obviously Mystery Dungeon just dropped. Animal Crossing remake.
Animal Crossing remake.
No, I was gonna say remake for Final Fantasy VII, and I was like, wait, there's like 3 different remakes coming out, so I can't just say remake, because there's 3 different remakes coming out in the next couple of months. 7 remake, Resident Evil 3 remake. I know some stuff got delayed till way later, but we had Doom obviously coming out the same day as Animal Crossing also. But then there was like Cyberpunk that got delayed because, for their own reasons that may or may not have something to do with Final Fantasy VII getting delayed to their release date. I remember people joking about that. They're like, oh, they're scared.
They would have been knee deep in Final Fantasy VII Remake by now.
Yeah, what the hell, Square? No, I'm just kidding. It's fine.
Yeah. They released the demo.
Yeah. Oh, God, the demo's so good. We'll talk about that in a second, too. Just with Animal Crossing in general, it's just so gorgeous. There's so many things you do. You can carry a ladder around with you and prop it up so you can climb up cliffs. And there's the pole, so you could jump over things so you don't have to like build a bridge over every single area if you're like, I don't want to have to walk all the way over here. You could apparently get killed by bees now instead of just get your eye swollen. Which is fun. Well, I guess because now it's like more hornets than just bees, because you could actually kind of notice that it's not. Well, okay, so here's something with the bugs in general. Holy crap, are they photorealistic? Like people thought other people were photoshopping pictures of real bugs into the first screenshots that were shown for that, because it wasn't the official direct. It was just like random screenshots that were getting put out. And people were seeing like the beetles, and they were like, wow, people are like joking with this, like, look how high quality this is, and they're just putting a picture of like a real beetle on there, and it's like, no, that's literally what they did in the game. It's photorealistic bugs and other stuff in there that they put in. The only thing I would say that I would still really like to see from Animal Crossing, that I don't think they've touched on yet, is I would like to go back to some of the old Animal Crossing stuff not that they have to put in other games for people to play, because Animal Crossing doesn't necessarily need that, but like stuff that almost feels like it's different to do. You know what I mean? Like if they would have a thing in there where you can like, you get like a ping pong table, if they were to have a thing where you can like actually like tap A and like play it with each other, something like that, instead of stuff like just kind of reacting when you touch it. If there was just certain things were a little more interactive, that's the only thing I would ever want really from Animal Crossing, is just like being able to do a little bit more with the things you can interact with. But I mean, other than that, just it looks beautiful, everything looks perfect. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
And speaking of animals, we can transition into Final Fantasy VII Remake by saying Red 13 looks amazing. He looks so good. I personally think the voice actor they got is like perfect for him. They've been doing amazing. I personally love every single voice actor they've had so far for this. I'm just really excited for everything with this. Before we get into the demo, if you guys want to give your specific general thoughts on stuff with Remake.
Well, I can't wait, honestly. Like, that, just to put it even bluntly, like, you know, this has been a long time coming. Like, we've had rumblings of it. I wouldn't say. We've had rumblings of it since like the PS3 era, I'd imagine. We even had the tech demo for the PS3, which was like the opening segment to the bombing mission, and that just gave us hope that they might make a Final Fantasy VII remake on the PS3. And then come 2015 E3, they announced the remake. 5 years later, here we are, like almost at the launch. Yeah, holy shit! Like, Final Fantasy 15 and 7 are two of my favorite Final Fantasy games, despite the controversy behind Final Fantasy 15 for its incompleteness and this and that and everything in between. I love that game, and 7 was like one of my first proper, I guess, introductions to the Final Fantasy games, and that's the one everyone was playing. So I was like, okay. I was a kid, mind you, at the time, and my first, I guess, exposure to that was on the PSP, when you could play like old school PS1 games on that through the PSN, and I played Crisis Core as well, and Advent Children was a pretty sick movie, and I'm pretty sure this game is looking better than Advent Children in terms of, you know, graphical fidelity and stuff. So
yeah, I'm actually probably I have to go back. I actually do want to go back and watch Advent Children now, but yeah. Pretty much.
It always, with Square games, it always just like the cutscenes that they did in CG blew me away, and I was always wondering, when are we going to get games that look like these cutscenes? And here we are. Like, it's something I'm definitely looking forward to. And even though it has been said time and time again that this is the first game of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, I guess, series, I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to what comes after it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, so, and you hit on it, but, like, the timeline for this, and honestly, the patience that everybody has had with this, obviously, because you had no choice, but, like, Final Fantasy VII, the original game, celebrated its 20th anniversary since the remake was announced, and between the time the remake was announced till the actual remake's release, because this game was released 23 years ago now, and the remake was announced 5 years ago. And like, you look at side-by-side screens from the announcement of the remake to direct ripped screens from the demo and the graphic upgrade, is like night and day
Mm.
between the two. And so that is something that people should like. How many times, have we seen things at E3 and been like, oh my God, blown away by the graphics? And then it's not at all been like that. And it's been like a drastic letdown, cough, cough, Watch Dogs, right?
Just going to say,
like,
here's looking at you,
yeah.
Ubisoft.
Yeah. So like, how many times have we seen that? And, leave it to Square to like buck that trend, which, good on them, absolutely. And to do it with a game that, remake. Like, when you think game remakes, you obviously now think of Final Fantasy VII, but like before it was announced, you thought of Final Fantasy VII. Like, as long as we've been talking about the prospect of people doing remakes of games, people have been talking about Final Fantasy, and people that have been talking about Final Fantasy VII. So this was, I think, everybody knew an inevitability that this was eventually going to happen. But I think that, now that we're in, we are less than a month now from the actual launch. So it's, it's go time now. The demo is out, at least the first half of the demo is out. And so, it is real now. And so this is going to be a really major and exciting time for a lot of people. I can't wait to get my hands on the full game. We talked about this. I have the demo literally downloaded on my PlayStation 4. I just haven't had a chance to actually do it yet.
Right.
So I'm excited to like actually experience part of it, period, because I'm sort of like Josh. My first experience with Final Fantasy was Final Fantasy X, but then I went backwards and started playing some of the older games too, because I was like, oh my God, this is the 10th one? And so, tried to find some of the older ones. And so, I'm excited to see like the caliber of the story from 7 in the modern setting with the graphics and the voice acting and the ability to view the world through the scope of Unreal Engine 4. Like, that's going to be great. And that's what I can't wait for, is just the experience of getting to play this game again.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with both of you guys, just like on pretty much everything. It's just everything about it's so gorgeous. And yeah, like just the difference between the CyberConnect version from 2015 and now is it does almost look like a console generation of difference, almost, just because it's just such a drastic change, which probably has a lot to do with CyberConnect dropping out and Square picking it up. But like, just, all right, whippersnappers, let me tell you a tale from back in the day. As somebody whose first Final Fantasy was literally the first Final Fantasy on NES, it's just going from that to the original Final Fantasy VII was like fucking mind blowing when I was younger. And now just like remembering when I was like 4 years old or 5 years old or whatever, playing touching the original Final Fantasy, and then like how far this, like, I mean, even when like 15 and stuff, like anytime like the 3D ones come out, it's like, oh yeah, I remember back in the day when they had the job system, and but yeah, like it's so amazing. It's so gorgeous. Everything looks amazing. Like I said, all the characters look amazing. They have like I love all the redesigns. I know in some cases people are like, oh, I don't like this change. But I mean, you have your nostalgia and everything like that. I can understand certain changes people not liking, but like for the most part, everybody's just like changes are really solid. All the costume changes for the normal and also for like wall market, the dresses and everything like that all look great. I know some people might be like, oh, but Cloud's dress is purple now, and it's like, okay,
I believe Nomura said that there are actually other costumes out there that we haven't seen yet, and I think we would still have access to like the classic purplish shade it was before. I'm not sure about the details, but it was specifically in regards to Tifa and Aerith about the other costumes, which is really exciting to see. Like, I know 15 adopted the whole, you can just change your costumes on the fly and have like Noctis in like a freaking Assassin's Creed outfit by the time that like you had all these events.
Well, you could have the freaking cup noodle head,
yeah,
whatever. So like,
yeah. So it'd be really cool to see that be implemented in 7. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. I was gonna say, because I know like Resident Evil 2, with the Resident Evil remakes, they're doing the new designs and also the classic designs, because they're like, I mean, for 2 they even did the low poly models and everything like that.
I hope they do that for 7.
That would be amazing to have the Popeye freaking just chunky little like huge armed people as, oh my gosh,
to see
please.
that in like Unreal Engine 4 lighting,
people
especially
people would pay any amount of money asked of them to be able to play that game with the original models.
Yeah.
Like yeah, it's just so good, and it looks like they have like a decent amount of story changes and everything like that from the trailers. like how like the black cloaked figures will probably be replaced by like the ghostly apparitions and stuff like that that Aerith and Cloud are seeing in the demos. And I mean, it's just got so many different and I don't want to get like too far into it for people that are trying to avoid some of the stuff, because the newest trailers do kind of get into like basically what the end game is going to be for this. So I don't want to talk too much about like, and because I mean that's the elephant in the room is, yes, it's going to be episodic, and I know a lot of people are still unhappy about that, but I mean, I honestly am totally fine with it, because they are trying to make this, basically they had an interview recently where they were saying that what they're doing with this is what they wanted to do with the original and they couldn't. So they wanted to flesh it out as much as they are now, and they were saying how limited they were and how they had to simplify everything. And that game is so long and has so much to it already that them saying, wow, we had to simplify everything in this game. Like, imagining that, of just all those changes that they had to make and everything like that, and seeing now being like, we could finally do our real vision for this game, is like, holy crap, this game's gonna be nuts.
Yeah.
We have no idea how many parts there are gonna be at the moment, but I think people are kind of settling on, they're figuring probably 3. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 4. But yeah, it just looks gorgeous. Everybody's doing a great job. In terms of the actual demo, because we could transition to that now, it plays really well. Everything looks gorgeous. I know some people are a little torn on the more character action feeling of some of the fighting. Me, as somebody who absolutely adores character action games, I picked it up and I felt super comfortable with it right away. There was some stuff I tried to do that I'm used to doing in character action games that didn't work out the same way as expecting, because obviously it's not, I'm not playing Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, it's Final Fantasy, but they added like a dodge roll and stuff like that, so it's like, it's really good. It's a really fun combat system, and they do have classic, just more turn-based focused, or not turn-based, the ATB style system, where they just kind of like auto battle for basic attacks, and then you just input abilities and stuff like that. But it everything feels great. Everybody sounds great. The humor in the game is like just as good. Like, all the characters act just as good as
the
like the
banter
original.
Between characters, though, just while running around or fighting, is on point.
Oh,
like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's so much writing in the demo alone, because like a lot of characters, if you go back and talk to them, there's like some cases where they only have one line, but like you could go and talk to one person while you're waiting for something to happen, and they'll say like 5 different things, and it's like, you really didn't need to do that for the demo. You probably didn't really need to do that in general for the game, but it's really nice that they did, because they're trying to flesh out.
I'm really convinced they just kind of took a massive slice of the actual game and just gave it to us. Like,
yeah, probably. I do know a lot of people are saying that they're pretty sure this was an older demo because of some of the ways certain things worked. That I don't 100% know. I haven't seen anybody say that played the original demo, that like the E3 demo or whatever. I haven't seen anybody say if it is the exact same demo or what's changed. But I wouldn't be surprised. I would say the only, not that it's really bad, the only critique I really had about the entire thing, honestly, was when, and this is just me being used to character action stuff, so I'm sure for a lot of people that aren't, it's not anything. But like when you slash at things to like break open item boxes and stuff like that, you like have to wait for Cloud to put the sword back before you start like picking up the pace again. And it's like, not that it's a long time, but for somebody who's used to like dodge canceling out of doing things, or like, you know, like in a lot of games, it's like when you sometimes you do an action and then you can hit another button to speed it up so you don't have to finish the animation, basically. So
yeah,
that was my only gripe, is somebody who's used to doing that in a lot of games. Like, you hit the thing to cancel the animations, you can like start running again, and they didn't implement that in the demo. I don't know if it'll be in the full version. It's not the end of the world or anything if they don't. It's just my thing was, because I figured out the slash like right away. Like, as soon as the demo started, I hit every single button to see what every button did, and as soon as I did the slash, I went, okay, what could I break, before they even talked about being able to break boxes. So I started running around to everything in the beginning of the demo and smacking everything, and that's on me. But that was like me being like, wow, so much time is being taken away from me by slashing all these things that I don't have to slash and waiting for him to finish the animation. But again, that's completely on me, because I'm just neurotic like that, and I need to do every little thing.
I feel like I was too awestruck by like the fact that this is a real game.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. No, I know, and that it was funny because it was
two kinds of people.
Yeah, exactly. Right, and that was funny because that was the first thing I did in the demo, and I was like, and then like I was like, not that I was actually like, oh, this demo sucks or anything like that. I was just like, oh, that's a thing that I wonder if they're going to change in the final game. And then as soon as I stopped thinking about that, everything else in the game, in the demo, is just, it's amazing. I absolutely am in love with it. It's probably, like I said about Scramble before, this is probably going to be up there for one of my favorite games. I can tell you right now, it's just so good, dude. I love everything about it.
Yeah, so Blake is yet to play the demo, but he's gonna by
the next episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will do it this weekend, I promise.
And we will get those impressions.
Yeah.
So
Okay, cool.
yeah. So I think the last thing on our list, we'll make it quick, because while we do know a bit, we can probably delve into it more closer to release, is Resident Evil 3 Make. That's what I call it.
Remake.
And I know Remake. And I'm gonna let Michael take the helm on this one, because he's our resident
Evil boy.
Oh man, we waited all night to use that.
You
joke.
gotta say Resident 3 times. Yeah, man. Because I played. I haven't touched like the original Resident Evils in forever, but I had them. And just everything I've seen about this is it's gorgeous. Like, it's so weird because Resident Evil 2 remake came out so recently,
and
then this is, it's so, well, because it's like so close, but it's like just the differences you could see, and they're trying to keep everything. They're trying to be as,
it's almost a year difference, right?
Yeah, it's really not that long. It's only been like a year since 2 came out. So it's like really they've been working on this while they were working at the same two at the same time. But because there's like, I get because 3 is like has like kind of an open world feel to it because you're going around the whole city, and there's all the stuff with Nemesis. So I like obviously they had to put like a lot of work into how everything works in that, and it's got like a more complex system than 2. So they're being like really faithful to the games with these remakes, because obviously Resident Evil 1 remake was like still the same kind of game. So like that one was like obviously they were going to be faithful to it because it's the same type of game. But now that these are like completely new genre of game, like these are more like Resident Evil 4. But like it's just so amazing to see. 2, I played through 2. 2 is an absolute dream. That's definitely up there for. That's probably my favorite horror game, I guess, quote unquote, genre of horror game. Would be 2, because it's so unsettling and everything like that. But just seeing 3, like how Nemesis works, and that he's just got so many different options to mess you up, whereas Mr. X in 2 is like he just kind of runs you down and he just melees you. He doesn't have like much in the terms of, like, he's kind of easy to get around and everything like that to kind of make up for the fact that he's always chasing you, where in the original 2 he wasn't. He was just kind of like placed in rooms to make it look like he was chasing you. But in 3, Nemesis chases, and in this one it's like terrifying because he will pop out of absolutely anywhere, and he has different weapons at his disposal. He has a tentacle arm that he could grab you from a distance. He has his rocket launcher. He has a flamethrower now that he didn't have before. He will climb up and jump up from lower floors to catch up to you if you're on like a balcony or something. He'll just jump through the ceilings of different places. And Mr. X was just so much like, open the door, oh, here he is, okay, here I come, you know. And one thing that came out, which everybody had a heart attack about, was they claimed that safe rooms are no longer safe from Nemesis, and everyone.
So they're just rooms.
Yeah. So, and I think what ended up being the thing with that is that it's only certain rooms for like flavor, basically. So there will be some safe rooms that are safe still.
I feel like it might be scripted, honestly.
Yeah, it probably is. Or I think part of it is also that they have save points in rooms that are not safe rooms. So like in 2, they had the lobby was a save room, but since that's the main hub, Mr. X would still walk through there. So you could like save with Mr. X like 20 feet away from you. So it feels like they're going to do something like that with this in 3 Remake, but more so because that's like the only save point in 2 that was not safe, whereas this one's going to have like different rooms and stuff, like, because it's going to be such a huge area and stuff like that they're probably going to be putting more save points around. And I saw somebody say there's going to be a fast travel, which is weird to me, but I guess that just means they made the city huge if they needed to implement a fast travel. But I'm trying to imagine a Resident Evil game with fast travel. It seems so strange. Because such a big thing about Resident Evil is like having to go back through areas you've been to, and that's the thing with like the ammo preservation and stuff like that, is like, oh, do I kill this zombie now because I know he's going to be a problem later, or is he easy enough to get around that I don't need to waste the bullets on him? But like if you could fast travel, then that might take out some of the fear of that. But I don't know, you know, that might just be a thing of like because there might just be a thing of like there's just different areas you fast travel to, but you still have to go through like this gauntlet of shit to get back to the objective or whatever. So, but I mean, just from every standpoint, it looks amazing. And then there's the multiplayer, which nobody's talking about because, I don't think anybody cares, honestly. I mean, it's gonna be.
It looks interesting.
Yeah, it should be interesting because it's like one person basically plays as the bad guy and places traps, and then everybody has to like
zombies and stuff
get around that. But I mean, in terms of like, I don't think anybody really cares. Like a lot of
I like how it's its own thing though. Like it's got its own characters and stuff.
Yeah, I think everybody's just like breathing a collective sigh of relief that they don't have to pay for that separately.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people were like, I don't want to buy this when they revealed it. And then it was like, just kidding. It's basically the quote unquote mercenaries of this game. Because that's, what the multiplayer was for Resident Evil games in the past was the mercenaries mode. And now it's like, nope, here's this like pseudo Friday the 13th, the game with, but Jason places the traps around and zombies around instead kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it looks interesting, but I would not be not terrified. I wouldn't be terribly disappointed if they were just like, who cares? And just took it out. I don't care. I'm sure it's great. I mean, absolutely nothing for people. I'm sure that was like a lot of work people put into that mode because it does look like there's a decent amount to it. So like, again, thank you Resident Evil team for making that. You guys have been doing an amazing job lately. I know you guys had a lot of flack for a while, and you guys have been absolutely killing it recently. A lot of people loved 7. I never actually got around to playing it. But people, really like 7, even though some of the enemies and stuff were kind of boring, but the game was good. Remake 2 was good. Remake 3 looks like it's going to be just as good, if not better. Just big thank you to Capcom for like between that and Monster Hunter and just like a lot of the games like absolutely killing it lately.
Yeah.
And bringing back Zero and ZX in a great man, because dude, like hardly anybody I know has actually played those, and those games are amazing.
Yeah.
So here's a plug. If you haven't played Zero ZX Advent,
get the collection.
Go get the collection because those games are amazing. Anyway, okay, I'm done. You guys talk about your remake impressions now.
Well, I frankly don't have a chunk to say about Resident Evil 3, but that's because I'm basically a bit of a newer fan to the series. And it's not something I actively follow, but I have played and have thoroughly enjoyed RE4, 5, even 6, because 6 I played through with a friend, and I didn't play through it by myself, so I didn't have to go through that suffering. And I skipped 7, and I had never played 2, but I played the 2 remake, which was obviously a drastic new take on the second game. And it's really cool to see 3 get that same treatment, so I'm looking forward to it. I will be probably getting the PC version because the modding capabilities of RE2, like the remake, is hilarious. Like, we had some funny, we had some really funny mods that you can probably find on anywhere on the internet, which is great. So I'm expecting, Capcom to lean into that mod-friendly bit and people taking advantage of that. So that'll be great to see. Maybe they'll change Nemesis into how they did, Mr. X's Thomas the Tank Engine. If you could have the same thing as Nemesis. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, honestly. But I do also share the sentiment that there are a bunch of good games coming out all together at the same time. It's going to be something. Like, I'm going to be knee deep in, FF7, and it's like a week difference. RE3.
Yeah, I think 3 comes out the week before.
April 3rd, doesn't it? April 3rd.
It's like exactly a week, so it's like
Yeah,
that's a little rough.
because it's the 3rd and the 10th is the 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah,
gonna be a
so
little rough.
you've got a week to bust through the. Well, some people are still going to be playing P5R, and people are still going to be playing Animal Crossing. Although Animal Crossing is a bit of a different case because you can just play that on and off as you please. But you're going to go into Persona 5 the Royal on the 31st. Then you've got like 3-4 days before
Yep.
Resident Evil 3.
So I hope you played the original version, because if you didn't, you're not going to be able to beat a Persona game in 3 days the first time through, unless you don't want to experience it the right way.
Yeah, one of our other members, Jacob, was like, he was here for a convention, which I'll probably talk about in the next episode or something, even though it'll be a bit more further away. He was playing Royal because with connections and review codes and stuff, they've got our hands on it. He was playing that, and he was up all night in the other room just playing Persona 5 Royal, and during the convention, he was just falling asleep everywhere. So, yeah, you know, best of luck to you if you're planning on tackling all these major games in consecutively. So, yeah.
Neat. So like for me, with the 3 remake, I think it is a very quick turnaround from 2, which, you know, good on Capcom to be able to do it. And also because, like, I think with a franchise where, you know, everybody has their favorites, sort of like Final Fantasy in terms of which one people like, 3 I think is the bar in terms of expectations is a little bit higher, because 3 is so well liked by the fans. I think that this sort of also plays in with what we were talking about with 7, is that with the 7 remake, that you're looking at an instance in which the people that worked on this game ran into hardware limitations at the time that are no longer existent. And so what you're seeing is a more actual representation and realization of what they wanted to do in the first place. And so, like, the fact that you're seeing something like the AI system that they were able to put into Nemesis, that makes it to where you never know where he's going to appear, like, that truly makes the game feel like it is a combination of action horror that you really expect out of these kinds of games. Like, it's gonna, I think, personify that type of hybrid in the genre. So, like, it's exciting to see that out of the game. And so, yeah, I also do agree that it's kind of weird that, I mean, they announced that multiplayer back in September, October, something around there. So it's been a while, and yeah, nobody's talking about it. So, I mean, you know, I guess it's cool that people aren't talking about how much they hate it, but, like, or how much they don't want it.
Just leaving it alone.
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, maybe there will be people out there who that'll be their favorite bit, but you know, or maybe when you get to, you know, you get done, like, crapping yourself from getting totally scared out of your mind playing the actual game, you just go and you play the multiplayer to just sort of come back down to reality. Or maybe you go play
Animal Crossing.
I was gonna say, you go play Animal Crossing. You know, that's how you decompress from Resi 3.
Yeah, and then, you know, Nemesis shows up in your town, and you
he just a new villager. You know, he just Wait, I got it, guys. Nemesis for Smash.
That would be something.
Could work.
You know, there's character 6 on the pass. Is Nemesis. We've called it.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first, folks. If this happens, I want something for it. I don't know what yet, but I want something for this.
Chicken fries from Burger King.
Oh my God, a lifetime supply of chicken fries. Make it happen.
Boy.
I think that's about it, isn't it?
Yeah, one other thing, actually, real quick, going back to Final Fantasy, though, I did want to note, because I'm not sure how many people know about it. Not that it's, like, breaking news or anything, it's just something that got, a couple things that got brought up, is, since we're on the topic of remakes anyway, there was something, talk about how the developers of Parasite Eve would like to take a crack at a remake of that, which is a lot of that is actually the team that worked on Final Fantasy VII. So on the original,
with Unreal,
So if we could get, because because people are like, because they're saying stuff, they want to do something with the franchise, not that it's fully that they want to make a remake. They just like, oh, it'd be a shame to not use this franchise. And it's like, well, I mean, the last time you used the franchise was like the worst thing ever, because that was the third birthday that wasn't even called Parasite Eve, and everybody forgets that's actually a Parasite Eve game, but it's awful. So hopefully they remake Parasite Eve, because that game's awesome. And then the producer, I'm blanking on his name right now, but the producer of 7 Remake.
Yeah, Yoshinori Kitase, I think.
Was it? I think it was the producer.
Oh, was it? Yeah, I think Kitase is the producer. You're not talking about Tetsuya Nomura, so you're probably not.
No. So I might.
You're probably talking about Yoshinori Kitase. Yeah.
Anyway, somebody working on Remake, when they were talking about, oh, what are you going to do once Remake is over, which, let's be real, is going to be like upwards of a decade probably. But they were like, what would you like to remake after Final Fantasy VII? And he was like, nobody quote me on this. We're quoting you on this. But he was like, nobody hold me to this. And nobody use this as like a thing to say we're working on this, because we're not. But he would like to go back to like 5 and work off, because I think 5 is where he started working on Final Fantasy, and he still has 5 has a very special place in his heart, and he would like to see a 2D one of the older Final Fantasy games get this kind of treatment, because like the amount, like the difference between that and, you know,
It might be 6 that might get that. Like, I know 6 is loved a lot.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying is like, so he specifically said as of right now he would love to remake 5 in this fashion. But I could see 6, or I mean, honestly, I feel
like 4.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've always really wanted one of the originals. Like, I would love to see just like one completely remade in this with the job system and everything, because like the story in one's not like, I mean, it's got like its complexities and stuff like that with like the time travel and blah blah blah, like it's got like its own complexities to it, but it's not like that deep, you know what I mean? So I'm sure they could get in, like, give it a good, not that it's a bad story, but you know what I mean, like they could really get into the story of it and also do like the job system and everything. But also Bravely works, so I at least get my job system in Bravely, which a new Bravely game coming out.
Octopath had it as well.
Yeah, I didn't play Octopath, but it's also not this kind of game. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like visually and stuff like that. Like, not granted, Bravely is not like this kind of game, but it's closer, and it has the job system and everything. So it's like, I would really like something that implements the job system, and I guess technically people would say that's 14 and 11 have the job system in it because they're MMOs, but just this kind of game with the job system would be amazing to me as somebody who grew up with the job system. But so just wanted to toss it out there that 2 things that are in the talks, or one thing that's in talks is doing something with Parasite Eve, and one thing that at some point in the future, once all the parts of 7 Remake are over, something else could potentially get remade if 7 works out well enough and they want to do something. The producer was saying about he would love to redo 5 because that's the first game he worked on, and he would love to like get back into working on that again and do stuff with that because it still holds such a huge place in his heart. So again, not that they're working on a remake for 5. They're probably not going to talk about remaking anything else seriously for like half a decade, because God knows when this is going to be finished. But so I just wanted to toss it out there because I know some people probably heard about that, but I don't think a lot of people were fully aware that they were saying that was a thing. So I guess, just keep supporting the remake and letting them know like, oh, good job guys, now when this is done, go make this other thing, and they'll be like, hell yeah.
I think one thing I want to touch on before I wrap up is the current breaking news, which would make this very relevant, is the whole current reports that are coming up right now saying E3 2020 might be cancelled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, so like, let's be honest. Last couple of years, not trying to downplay the industry, but E3 has been losing a lot of steam. So I mean, you know, I hate that. Obviously, the main reason why it's being discussed the way that it is now in the context is going to be because of the global health situation. But I feel like this is probably something that was going to happen naturally in the next couple of years anyway. So, I mean, you know, maybe this is, maybe in the end, this is better for it to go out this way as opposed to it just being like, you know, you see the conference dwindle to just a couple of developers and companies meeting and everybody just doing sort of their own, you know, their own solo shows now. But I mean, I don't know. That's not like I don't have a strong opinion either way. That's just a general thought and a commentary on it. I do think ultimately the idea it would be better to cancel it. I mean, you know, the World Health Organization, to 70% of the planet's population could be infected with the virus by the end of the year. So you certainly don't want a situation in which people from all over the planet are all going to be descending in one area, and then they're all going to be taking whatever germs they get back to their home countries. So, I mean, I think, you know, it's a natural reaction to do this. And again, I don't know, the larger context for me is I don't know how much of an impact it's going to have on the industry since E3 as a product isn't as popular as it was, I mean, even 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's true. I think, I basically disagree with, just agree, not disagree. It came out almost out like I said disagree. I agree with Blake on a lot of that because, I mean, like, you know, it stinks in general that this is the reason, and obviously everybody out there stay safe and everything like that, you know, use your judgment on stuff. But yeah, I do know there was rumors about a lot of people pulling out of E3 anyway. Before this even happened, there were a lot of things of like, oh, this company's probably not going to be there this year, and this company's not going to be there because everybody wants to do their own thing. And it keeps getting dumbed down, basically. I mean, and yeah, we usually get like some really cool stuff out of it. But it's not like we're not going to get game announcements ever again if it goes away. So it's like it's not the worst thing in the world for it to be canceled because anything that would be announced there will just be like announced. I mean, there's also stuff with the industry, potential delays and certain things not going as planned because a lot of the companies are worried about their employees, and you know, certain companies might be like, we might have to hold off on working on this game for a little while because we have like a few thousand employees and we don't want them all in the same place. If there's somebody down the street from us that is tested positive for this thing, and you know what I mean? So it's like the whole, a lot of industry stuff in general might be a little rocky for a hot minute. But I mean, yeah, like we're saying, this might have been happening at like this canceling might have happened within the next couple of years anyway. So I'm not super broken up about it. It'll be weird for it to not be there. You know what I mean? Because you're just so used to it. But I mean, in terms of what you're going to see there, I mean, like, Sony wasn't going to be there anyway.
And Nintendo will always just drop a direct.
Yeah, Nintendo always just drops a direct anyway. And like, granted, there's always the Nintendo won E3, even though they just dropped the direct, but they still won it, kind of thing like that. But like, yeah, it'll be whatever it is. In terms of,
I feel like Nintendo could still do their own little E3 at headquarters and like have just 2 days or 3 days of treehouse segments.
Yeah, I imagine they'll still do something like that.
Yeah, probably. I also think from a certain perspective from the industry, if you're a creator, not having E3 might be a good thing because, and having never been in video game creation in any way, shape, or form, I can't speak to this, but if you've got, a major publishing company over you saying, we want to announce your thing at E3, or we want to have an update or a new trailer at E3, having sort of this arbitrary date looming on the calendar probably has to be like
very stressful.
Yeah, incredibly so. And so if what this means is that we don't get a shit ton of major game announcements in the span of 3 days, but then instead what we get is a trickle of constant game announcements, and that leads to games that are polished and more well-rounded by the time they're put out, and we don't have to go through this flurry of delays because you announce it at E3, and then because so much work went into just making sure it was ready to announce at E3, then they're behind on making sure it's ready to be released by the next one or what have you. I think from an industry standpoint, it might actually help with productivity and quality of the product that we get in the long run. So, and again, that's a commentary, not, I have no evidence to base that on. That's just, meh. Feel free to disagree and shout at me in the comments. That's fine.
I think that's it. This has been almost 2 hours of us just...
Really? Oh, yeah, I guess
yeah, it's
so.
almost been yeah.
If you're still here, congratulations. If you skipped to the end just to hear this, shame on you. You missed the best part. Go back about 45 minutes.
And then go back another 45 minutes. I'm just kidding.
Yep. If you're one of those people that's, that sets your YouTube before you go to bed and we just randomly popped up and you're waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, go back to sleep.
And then wake up and listen to this from the beginning.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of good content. So do it.
And that's what we aim to do. Just give you guys that
And
good
what
content.
we're going to aim to do in the future,
Yep.
now that we are back
Yes.
after our long sabbatical, out of hibernation,
Back to the lab again.
we back at it again.
Back to the lab again.
Back to the lab again.
That might episode title? Maybe.
Episode title question mark? Who knows? You do, because you're listening to it after
You'll
the
know
fact.
before you
We
get to this
don't
point.
right now.
Yeah, we'll figure.
You'll know well before you get to this point.
Yeah, we'll figure it out later. But
Leave it in.
Yeah, leave it in. Exactly. Yeah, there's the episode title. Leave it in.
Yeah.
But so if we're all pretty much done talking about that stuff, like we said in Zero, but if you didn't, you might not have listened to episode 0, we are probably going to start doing things where if you guys want to leave us comments, or if you want to give us any specific feedback, or have anything you want to talk about, or ask us any questions, like our opinions on anything, you can join our Discord. Jojo, would you like to read the URL like you like to do?
Just give me a second. Just got this.
Did you not have it pulled up?
No, I didn't.
Jojo.
I did. For shame. And right now we're stalling, so that means I'm going to tell a bad joke. What's black and white and goes round and round?
What?
A penguin stuck in a revolving door.
That's the kind of good content you'd expect from Mayonaka Network Unplugged.
Heyo, you get my bad dad jokes.
My link has changed. So
What?
you know.
Oh dear.
Oh my god, Jojo, it's on the freaking... Okay, I'll read it.
It is.
Are you kidding? Were you in the dock and you totally forgot it was right there?
Yes. Yeah.
We're unplugged, folks. We don't. We're not doing this professionally at all.
Yeah. So that's https://discord.gg/Y G small x K small c big A.
Yes,
That's us.
Victoria, put it on the screen. Okay. Anyway, or you can email us at mayonakanetwork@gmail.com. put it on the screen now. Okay, so but yeah, you could so you guys can just give us feedbacks, drop us any questions you want. We'll if we
for us to talk about.
Yeah, if you have anything specific, if a lot of you start giving us a bunch of stuff to talk about, we could add in a fan mail section. But otherwise, we'll just take like recommendations of stuff to talk about. If you want to see our opinions on a game that's coming out later this year, or even something that's like an older game that you're like, what did you guys think of this? And then we could be like, that's pretty good.
And we'll be looking to getting guests.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So
because we're unplugged, that we could talk about whatever we want now, and so we can get people. We have friends that are not necessarily part of the Persona community, but they like work on games and work. I mean, I have friends at animation studios. I could be like, yo, y'all want to come on here and talk about that show you're working on? And then we could possibly do that, but maybe not.
Who knows?
Depends on if they could talk about it. But yeah, I mean,
we're unfiltered, unplugged, and unsure.
Yeah, that's.
Is that the title?
So many, so many choices. But yes, so thank you guys. Hit us up with whatever. Those links are still on the screen. Pow pow. If they're not, but I'm pretty sure Victoria left them on because she.
Well, somebody here's got to be professional.
She does what we tell her to do. But I'm just kidding. But yeah, so you guys wanna send us out in style?
Well, Blake, I'll throw it to you.
Oh, well, okay. Thanks for joining us, everybody, for Mayonaka Network Unplugged #1. We'll be back with #2. Make sure to stay tuned to our social media. We hope to see you in Discord as well, so that you can keep updated as we churn along. Keep tuned to those social media feeds, not just for information on when we're going to be putting out more episodes, but also when we're going to be just sharing and talking about more news as it happens in real time with all you fine folks. And we appreciate you taking the time to listen, and we'll talk to you all soon. So bye-bye.
Love you. Goodbye.
Later.